Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Prepare to have your bones chilled and your hairs raised. It's the WacArnold's Brothers Podcast.
Welcome home.
Oh, if it lives in a pineapple under the that's the SpongeBob thing.
What the fuck?
It's hard.
We
it's
do
hard
need
to
a
come
theme
up,
song.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to come up with theme songs when all the good ones are taken.
Wow.
Either way, this is the WacArnold's Brothers. You know that.
Yeah, we're back to it seems like it's been a while, but we're back to a traditional setting here.
Yeah, traditional. Yeah, we fresh off a string of 80s horror movie roundups. We're back to kind of doing a standard kind of movie of the week, which I look at it as almost, like the classic monster of a week TV format.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like X-Files.
Exactly, man. I think it's fucking classic. I think it's classy, and it was fun. I think we both talked about it. It was like though the roundups those deep dives are fucking great. Like to just get nerdy on. It was something like it's fun to just like take out one of these movies and just
right.
just laugh at it, man. And like the movie we picked out for episode 43 here, Maniac Cop, is it's good, man. And I can see why they tried to make sequels out of it, off of it.
Right. The sequels are like this. The sequels get the sequel's all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the two of the main characters from this movie, Teresa Mallory and then Bruce Campbell's character, they get killed pretty quickly in the sequel.
Oh, really?
And then the third one is like really bad, but there's a scene in this movie like where we see a flashback of the Maniac Cop and how he was in jail.
Oh my God, yeah.
Gets killed in the shower. That scene for scene happens in both sequels.
Oh God, that's becoming one of my all-time favorite sequel tropes, is just using like the exact footage.
It's like, Jesus Christ,
can't get away. Oh my God. Yeah, this movie, like as you mentioned, this movie has Bruce Campbell in it, which is always so fucking great to see him in something. But it also has one of your horror movie staples, Mr. Tom Atkins.
He's amazing.
He is, dude. He's like one of the quintessential Tom Atkins type characters, if you ask me.
He's good when he's playing like a detective or a kind of like his role in Halloween 3 where
he's short on nonsense, man.
Right.
Oh, but I love that this. What were you gonna say? Oh, go for it.
That's it. Well, I was just gonna say it's a Larry Cohen production. It's directed by William Lustig, who apparently likes the word maniac because he also directed the movie Maniac. Yeah. And then also directed Maniac Cop 2 and 3. So he really likes the word maniac. But so he's something interesting that I learned while doing like some research for this is that he's the nephew of Jake LaMotta, who is a boxer and he inspired the movie Raging Bull.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a super, super random tie like to somebody. That's crazy.
There's also a really young not Sam Raimi, but Ted Raimi cameo in this movie. It doesn't even look like him. He's like, it's near the end. Or wait, I think it actually is Sam. It's one of the two Raimis, but I think it actually is Sam Raimi, but you can't really, it doesn't look like him.
One of the Raimi boys, eh?
Right.
Yeah, dude. Well, that makes sense. Like if Bruce is in on something, it feels like a Raimi is right behind him, or vice versa. Which I don't know. I can't. I'm still waiting to see what Bruce Campbell's mystery character in the new Doctor Strange movie is gonna be.
You think there is? You think he'll be?
He's confirmed it.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Dude. I'm just banking on, this is a complete in the weeds moment. I'm banking on Bruce Campbell hopefully being like either the announcer, the wrestling announcer that he played in the first movie.
That'd be awesome.
Or like the doorman who stops Peter Parker from going into the theater. What if he stops them from going into a portal or something? He's like, you gotta turn around.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be something like that would be so fucking killer.
I love it. My favorite is still from the when he's the wrestling announcer, dude.
Because what was he? He was like the living spider or whatever. And he's like, no, you can't go. Yeah. He's like, you can't. That's fucking. He's like, that's terrible, kid. The Spider-Man.
It's just great.
Yeah. And that okay. Branching off of this, is my last Bruce Campbell anecdote. Have you ever watched Ash versus the Evil Dead?
Unfortunately, I have not. So I don't have stars, but
it's on Netflix now. So if you
really?
Yeah, okay. I've been watching it on Netflix recently. I'm still in the first season, but it's pretty cool. For what it's gory as fuck, and it I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting addendum to the Evil Dead franchise, I think. But
yeah, I believe that.
But this movie has nothing to do with Evil Dead.
No, it does not. Well, I guess it does have to do with someone that's
kind of
dead.
People and dead.
Yeah.
This movie is just so fucking great. I love that it opens with that big Larry Cohen, credit, and then it just does this slow, I don't know, montage of a police officer putting together his uniform. It's slow. It
is.
We mentioned the credits, but this one it's putting on a fucking cufflink, and then it'll pause on the moment, and then it'll continue into something. It just takes forever.
Yeah, it shows him loading his gun, putting a nightstick in, putting extra ammunition in, putting his belt on, putting his gloves on, putting his hat on, and it's a lot. It's a drag. But you jump right into a bit of a nighttime scenario where presumably a bartender or somebody or something.
Yeah, at this bar is getting off of work, starting to go home, when she gets fucking jumped by a couple of dudes who she later names as Puerto Ricans. I was like, that's super specific, dude. Yeah. These fucking two Puerto Ricans jumped me. Anyway, so she gets jumped by these two dudes, and she does actually. So this was cool. She fucking fights them off, at first, and gets away while this fucking loafer across the street's just watching.
Right. Yeah. What
fucking,
a fucker,
dude. Yeah. Get up, man. And anyway, so she gets away, and kind of chase ensues down the fucking block to a park or playground.
Like a park, yeah.
And she's kind of hiding out, and eventually she the Puerto Ricans come after her, and I guess I don't have names for them now that I'm thinking about it.
They don't have names, yeah.
Thug 1 and Thug 2. They come running towards her, and she's turns around and sees a shadow of a police officer, with the cap on and
just
everything,
lurking there.
Yeah, fucking Frankenstein over here lurking around, though you don't know anything about this officer, let me say that. So she runs up to him thinking oh my god, thank you, thank you, officer, these people are fucking after me and all this shit. And what does that dude do? Takes her the fuck out, dude.
Yeah, because you don't see his face yet, but she sees his face, gets startled, and then he quickly starts choking her, and then just fucking snaps her neck.
Yeah, dude, a fucking just picks her up.
Super strength.
Just It was just like this moment.
It was like Michael Myers-esque strength.
Yes, dude. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And it's like, as far as you know, from there, like because I believe, like the other dudes. Well, no, they don't get away because they get arrested in like the next scene or something. Yeah, like that.
there's like a quick scene where, like the police are investigating her dead body, and you see them pull the muggers out of the back seat and like throw them against the chain link fence, and they're like, "It wasn't us. It was a cop."
Yeah, that's right. And then that takes you kind of into your first introduction to Tom Atkins' character.
Right, which you don't learn his name yet, quite yet, but his name is Lieutenant Frank McRae, and he's basically speaking with a gentleman doing an autopsy on her, and he mentions how the hematomas on her neck, and like he doesn't believe that those two Puerto Ricans could have done this to her.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, like they kind of see like some of the damage done, and they're like, did you see the size of those two? Like, do you think that they could have done this? Like,
right?
And so like, it's kind of, and that's sort of it. Like almost from the get-go, you have this vibe of like authority doesn't want like any sort of like suspicion on them, or like attached to them in any way, including in this scene where you're sort of just like, all right, like there's, they're just immediately trying to pin it on somebody else. But then,
yep, which happens more later, obviously, but
yeah. So then you kind of find yourself in, I don't know, some situation where some young folks are driving around having a couple of brewskis, and they pull up to a light, and they seemingly get stopped by a police officer who has some really like funny behavior.
They start macking at first. The guys are mad. They're stopped at a red light, and she's like, "Don't worry, babe. Like we have some time." And they start kissing, and then like you mentioned, the officer rolls up, and this whole, he doesn't speak. Obviously, he's not speaking, so like he kind of like fingers, like gestures for the guy to come over to him.
Yeah. But, it's like it's fucking great. Like it's all like he like taps on the window, gestures for the dude to come out of the car, walks him up to the front, and all you see is just like gesturing and stuff, and then all of a sudden, wha-bam! The dude just gets smacked in the fucking dome.
Yeah, he like pulls it. You see him pull out this blade from his sheath, like whap him twice, and then once again with some like strength, like grabs him and throws him behind him.
Yeah.
Smashes into the windshield, breaking it, and blood just splaying everywhere.
Yeah. It's fucking nuts. And then the lady just in the car, just, freaking out, just hops in the driver's seat and just tears the hell out of there.
And it's almost like the Maniac Cop, like, just like disappeared, because when you see her driving off, like he's nowhere in sight.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like, it's because it's hard to tell at this point, like, what kind of entity or creature this thing is, because like speed and stuff like that's different. But from there it kind of takes you into, this is the scene you get introduced to Richard Roundtree's character.
Yeah,
the commish, dude.
Yeah, Commissioner Pike. I've tried to that Roundtree's been in a lot of shit, but unfortunately right now I can't like pinpoint stuff he's been in. But he was the original John Shaft. Oh, interesting.
Shaft. But yeah, he's also been in like a litany of just like like things like horror movies and like other like sort of genre specific movies.
So he was like the television version of Shaft, like the original Shaft, or was it? I don't know much about Shaft. All I know about Shaft.
Yeah, no, it was like
was it a show or was it?
No, it was a movie, but it was like it was like in the 70s. Right. I can't remember what year, but
Because obviously there's the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft, but he wasn't the original, so that's interesting.
No, yeah, it was like, and then that spawned like a whole lot, like litany of other Shaft movies, you know. And there's like, I can't remember what movie exactly it is, but there's this epic cover where there's like Richard Roundtree with like a fucking chain gun or whatever, and like, you know, like strapped to the gills, like he's about to blast somebody who's like, you know, just like that kind of dude, like that kind of actor, classic. But like what a fucking name too.
Yeah, but yeah, anyway. So his character is that he's the commissioner. It's Commissioner Pike. He thinks that, you know, it's probably some lunatic who's dressing up as a cop to discredit the police force, which is quite a conspiracy theory. Lieutenant McCrae mentions how he thinks it could be someone on the force. He wants a police psychologist to talk to the officers. Pike wants McCrae to keep quiet about it. And then we also briefly learn, and I don't even really know why this was brought up because it wasn't mentioned at all later in the movie or followed up on, but we learned that at some point McCrae's previous partner was killed in the line of duty.
Yeah, they like, it's like strange if they bring up, like he like almost as like a jab or something. He's like, well, didn't you experience emotional distress and shit, and then like drops that bomb, which
right.
You're right, like it doesn't really hold any other bearing in like anything in the movie, but
yeah, it's just random.
Yeah, just strange. And then, you know, so like you said, he kind of sloughs it off, and like then it takes you to the kind of I think it's just like another
like nighttime,
nighttime sort of kills well, you know, like this guy, he looks like he's carrying like a trombone or something like that.
Yeah, some form of musical instrument in a giant case.
Yeah, he like, it's like you're following him to his car, and he gets in his car or gets to his car, puts his like instrument or something away, and that's when he gets like you know, he has a run-in with the law, we'll say. Yeah,
the Maniac Cop just walks up, fucking puts the dude in cuffs.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's my car. Spins him around, goes to unsheath his blade, and the guy runs off, still in cuffs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you know, we see him running for a little while. His wrists are already bloody. Like he stumbles up to a apartment complex and tries using his, it's kind of like a funny scene, but tries using his nose to you know, like hit a buzzer on an apartment to alert somebody, but they're not having it. And the way he gets like finished off is pretty funny, because I did not see that coming. You just think that Maniac Cop's gonna catch up to him and, you know, slice him or whatever, but he ends up tripping and falling into some like, not like brand new concrete, but it looks like concrete that was maybe poured just like a little bit prior. He trips and falls face first into it, and then Maniac comes up and basically shoves his face into it, suffocating him and killing him.
Yeah. It's just like, I feel like some of these kills are just like, they get comical to me for a little, because you just see like the Maniac's white glove, and then like, you know, like there's like smushing the dude's, like suffocating the dude's head into the cement, and you're just like, it looks like, I don't know, like it's just a really funny image to me. But yeah, that's that death was like, I really thought he was just gonna get like slashed up or something like that, but
totally.
You know. And then the next scene where it kind of like it just zooms out, and there's like workers like jackhammering the bodies out of the fucking cement, you know. So good. It's like I guess that, like, it had me thinking though too. I was just like, I guess that they would have to do something like that.
Yeah. Like, unfortunately.
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
And someone would have to relay the concrete. Like what?
Oh man.
If I was that construction working on that site, I'd be pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Maniac. Oh my god. And then, you know, we kind of follow up with McCrae, you know, going to one of those nighttime establishments, aka a bar, and you know, He meets.
Yeah, her name. He refers to her as Gina. She's the only time she's in the movie, but her character's name is credited as Regina, and she's apparently like a journalist of some sort. He talks to her about the Maniac Cop and how he basically like wants this information to get out that the killer is dressed up as a cop because the police force is like suppressing this information. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just an interesting move, man. It's like it's ballsy, but yeah, which is like, I couldn't like, I honestly, and just thinking about the plot and stuff, I was just like, would that make it like easier or harder for you to investigate at that point? But
probably harder. And I think, the things that happen in the movie, like we're in the next scene, we see this woman her car breaks down. A cop comes up and approaches, and she thinks it might be the Maniac Cop, and she ends up fucking shooting him in the forehead and killing him. I think that's like a little, like a kind of an extreme way of saying that, like a situation like this could result in that, where people get paranoid and they have fear of something like that, and it could lead to that. Like like I said, it's like an extreme version of something that could happen, but that's something that was like a good like social commentary about how the paranoias of people, because we're led to believe that since they announced that these people that are already afraid of cops are now even more so afraid of cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of a shocking scene, because it's exactly that at that point I think you're talking about. And so it kind of, as you see it, just sort of like, it's like nothing's really like, it doesn't seem like anything's really like trying to solve the actual problem right now. Like, right. And you kind of see that in one of the next scenes where they're, I think it's like the commissioner and
we get introduced to Captain Ripley here, and another officer. We don't learn his name, but they're basically walking down the hall talking about the situation. The commissioner kind of mentions to Ripley about possibly stepping down, but Ripley says he wants to nail this bastard.
Yeah, that was nail the bastard. It's classic tough guy cop. But
totally.
After this, you finally start getting closer and closer to the one.
We get introduced to a new character here.
And this is it's are they, I can't remember, are they married?
Yes.
Okay, so you get introduced to Bruce Campbell's character here in this next sequence, Officer Jack Forrest Jr. And wow, what is his wife's name though?
Ellen.
That's the real question.
Ellen.
Oh, that's Ellen. Okay, that's Ellen. And they have kind of a strained relationship, it seems like.
Yeah.
That's sort of painted in this picture. It seems like Jack has been spending long hours on the force. He's out there hitting the grind, and it's putting, let's just say, a strain.
Yeah, we learned that they've attempted to speak to do therapy, and we also see that she's keeping like a little diary of all the killings going on. Like it shows her like with the newspaper clipping really quick. But yeah, we learned that there's she wants him to stay home. He's always going out and working long hours.
Yeah.
She also mentions that she's afraid of him and she doesn't know why.
Yeah, that's the thing. I couldn't, like, I can't tell. I think if it's because of like their relationship in general, or maybe it's because of like the paranoia of the killer cop out there that we saw her sort of clipping the articles of and stuff. It's like, is that why she's suspicious?
Right.
Because she anyway, so she decides to follow him as he like leaves.
She also gets this weird phone, like he leaves, and then she like instantly gets this weird phone call. It's like another female, and she mentions something about I forget what she says.
something like, is it going? Is he doing, or he's doing it tonight or something like that, or?
Yeah, like to where it's like Ellen thinks that possibly Jack is the Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
So yeah, she grabs her gun, and she starts to follow him.
Yeah, and that leads her to like a motel, a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
A motel hotel.
Hotel, holiday, yeah.
Yeah. And like she is able to get access to his room.
The front.
I was like, this schmuck, dude.
Just
fucking up. But yeah, like the front desk person gives her access to the room, thinking that's his wife or whatever, I guess. But and she discovers him in bed. Bruce Campbell is in bed with another woman.
Yep. Which we don't learn her name yet, but her name's Officer. She's a fellow police officer. Her name is Teresa Mallory. But yeah, she stumbles in. She's obviously upset. She starts to mention something about. He asks her why she followed, and she starts to mention that she's like, I was afraid that you're, but she doesn't finish what she's saying. She ends up pulling the gun out, pointing it at him. Jack even kind of like shields Teresa,
Yeah, he does. He's like sort of standing in front of her and stuff like that.
But Ellen ends up leaving. She doesn't. She doesn't fire the gun or anything.
No.
But unfortunately, she made a bad decision to follow him that night, because as she's leaving, we see her get yanked into a car by the Maniac Cop.
God damn that Maniac Cop. The Maniac Cop strikes again and again in this goddamn movie.
He's slick with it.
Yeah, he is. He is. And then, like, it's kind of funny because you wonder if Ellen's gonna be like a character, kind of a more prominent character, but
nope.
And also shout outs to the Budget Inn. You find this Budget Inn, not a sponsor, but he could be. Anyway, so the next day, you get this, the classic sort of maid comes in the room cleaning up.
Mentions how she like stumbles in and the lamp's knocked over, and she's like, "Oh, it must have been a big party in here last night."
Yeah, exactly. And then, boom, she discovers the body of Ellen.
It's quite a grisly sight, too.
It is. Like, her throat's like slashed up.
It's not only slashed; it's like gashed. Like it was. You don't see much like close-up body shots or anything like that. Like later on in the movie, you finally see the Maniac Cop's face, and it looks pretty good. But the practical effects on the throat gash are really good.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, so then it kind of takes you to the police, I don't know, fucking academy or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jack,
Captain Ripley.
Yeah, Ripley and gets pulled out of his. Well, Ripley pulls Jack out of his his
whatever was
group
happening.
Or whatever, and informs him of the fate of his wife.
And he also he admits to having been there at the hotel. So Ripley, long story short, Ripley, puts him under arrest for suspicion of Ellen's death.
Yeah, and which was an interesting turn for the character. I was like, oh shit, because then you find him getting interrogated and stuff. And he actually spends a chunk of time
he does.
In the jail, for this movie.
When they're first questioning him, they have the Ellen's diaries and the clippings, and they basically think that they know there's a strain in their relationship, so they're kind of thinking, that might be a what's the word I'm looking for? He could be a suspect because of that,
Yeah, exactly.
Then we see, a lawyer come in and speak to him, and he tells the lawyer that he has a witness, someone who was there with him that night, which we, as viewers, we obviously know he's speaking about Mallory. But he mentions that he doesn't want to bring her into this unless there's no other way. So he mentions to the lawyer that if they don't find the real killer by the end of the week, that he'll name her. He's trying to protect her at this point.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like, just trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a good guy. I guess kind of a good guy there. Being a little bit of a good guy there. But then where's the take? It takes you to I guess another bar scene, another nighttime scene.
There's quite a few of them. Yeah.
It's McCrae and Ripley are at a bar, I believe, and that's when they're like watching. Yeah, they see like a news or program or something that's talking about like people being scared or not scared or whatever. Just interviewing people about what they feel like about cops or something like that. And
which, like I said, another good like social commentary where one of the people that's talking is like a black guy, and he's like, I've always been afraid of the cops, but even more so now. And it's one of those things where around this time the movie was made, like that was a real thing. Like there's, black people have always been targeted by police. Like there's a certain sector of the black community, I'm sure, that will always not trust police. It's a shitty fucking thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and honestly, that's one of the reasons that the social commentary can hold up to today too. So
totally, totally.
It's interesting. One of the things that you can take away from that is that it's I guess an interesting note to see that they were commenting on this back when this movie was made,
and it's still going
on. So
right,
but
yeah, I don't want to get too far off track, but they're talking, McCrae basically mentions that he thinks that Jack was set up, that he's innocent, that he's protecting somebody. He also mentions he thinks the killer could be a retired cop or a detective. But yeah, he basically alludes to that. He thinks that Jack is innocent, that he's protecting somebody. And we see that further in the next scene where he goes to his cell, because he, like you said, he spends a good portion of the movie in jail. And this is where Frank, spills the beans and tells McCrae about Teresa and that she's on duty tonight.
Spills the beans. Yeah. Well, and she's, it is. And then you kind of like pick up with her and you find that she's, Officer Mallory is doing like undercover work.
Yeah.
As a lady of the night.
Yeah, she even has her hair like all teased up and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd. And so, there's like a sequence, with where you follow her kind of going down like kind of situation, classic dark alley sort of situation. And she's like lighting a smoke, and that's when I believe, doesn't the maniac attack her?
She sees, so she's in the alley. She's dressed up as a prostitute, so she sees the maniac cop, looks up. She doesn't realize who it is. She thinks it might be another cop, and she's like, oh, hey, I'm actually an undercover cop, pulls out her badge. And maniac cop, picks her up, throws her to the ground. She fires 2 shots into him right as McCrae, who was looking for her, pulls up into the alley. He fires a bunch of shots into him. So he gets shot. The maniac cop gets shot
like at least like 6 times, I feel like, in this sequence. Is crazy.
Yeah. But long story short, the maniac cop kind of just like vanishes. Not like vanishes, like he disappears into thin air. But they shoot him multiple times. He seems unfazed by it, and then next thing you know, he's gone.
Yeah, exactly. He's got fucking hella speed on this guy, and even bleeding into the next scene, they're talking about obviously what they just experienced, and Mallory says, like it couldn't be a bulletproof vest. I shot him in the fucking head. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
she also mentioned that his hands felt like ice even through the gloves, and that he wasn't breathing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's all these indications that it's like, I don't know, it's some sort of not alive human, we'll say.
Right. But we learn more about that later. But at this point, it seems like whoever this is, he's not human. He's got some
some supernatural, some crazy sort of like powers of some sort, man. Like, I don't know, it's nuts. And we also forgot to mention that, like, just because they mention it a couple times, like during that whole sequence, McCrae gets his hand cut by like the blade, and the blade is kind of an interesting prop, just because it's like it pops out of like the Maniac's like billy club or something like that. Like, cool. It's kind of cool, yeah. But this is where McCrae kind of follows up on some investigations or aspects of the investigation, and he finds himself looking for a female officer.
Her name's Sally Nolan.
Officer Sally Nolan.
Teresa basically explains that she's this older lady at the force. She's like the mother hen. She works in like the clerical office, and that she's the one person that Teresa had told about the affair. So McCrae tells her to take the keys to his apartment and go hide out there, and he goes to speak to her.
Yeah. And he finds that, like, because he's like looking for some information, and the computers are down and this and everything, and so like, it's like specifically he's got to talk to her, but it's there's some characteristics about her. She has like like some sort of like leg brace. She walks with a cane, and so she kind of comes off as like harmless in a lot of ways,
right? Or
like non-threatening,
not a threat. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But at the same time, like, it's like, even from the get-go, you sort of just like, I feel like this person knows something, though.
Yeah, like, she's suspicious.
Yeah, she just gives off like a little bit of a vibe, but like not like a physically threatening vibe. Like, you don't think she's gonna pound you, but anyway, you kind of follow up with her because McCrae kind of starts tailing her, really. Yeah. And discovers that leads to like a construction site or something.
It's an old like warehouse on a pier. Yeah. That's not being used. There's like we hear mention in a little while that it's gonna be like demolished soon, but you get the feeling that it's like an abandoned warehouse, just like on this random pier. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And she has sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, he followed her for a reason. He had his suspicions, and his suspicions are correct, because we see she is speaking to the Maniac Cop. She refers to him as Matt, and McCrae's kind of hiding at a distance and hears all this. And while she's talking to Matt, we learn that he wants to get we don't know why quite yet, but we learn that he wants to get to the mayor and the commissioner and to put an end to this, as she refers to it.
Put an end to this. Yeah, well, it's classic case of like almost like oh my god, this is like kind of like gone too far, like
totally.
Like, I was on board until you just started killing everything.
Yeah, she kind of mentions that, like, I thought you were just gonna get rid of the scum and the junkies.
Exactly.
But I always said I'd have your back, and you know what I mean. So.
And then McCrae, having kind of like been watching the scenario from afar, sort of gets, I can't remember what it was, like a noise was made or something, and they like, god damn, dude, I'm getting everybody. Sally here, she like turns around and like, it's like, who's there, and then just starts firing off. Like, that was the fucking surprising. She starts just shooting off in that direction. So McCrae scrambles the fuck out of there and shit. But like, it was just interesting because it's like all of a sudden you're just like, okay, so it's, how do I say it? Like, at first you weren't really sure what this like kind of supernatural-esque element is going on, but like this there's, you know, it's not just some sort of like ghost like creature or something, you know, it's like very like tangible, like this, you know, this person's talking to, you know, this officer or whatever. It's so it kind of helps you like really paint like a better picture of the fucking maniac if you.
Correct.
But anyway, so this kind of takes you like right back to well, no, this follows you up with oh my god, there's that great moment where like Atkins is like running out of the fucking pier and the officer like startles him from behind and like he has like, it's like he pulls his gun out on him or whatever, you know, and there's just it's like, whoa, hey, hold up.
Like, I was just taking a piss. And,
yeah.
Yeah, this kind of a really random funny scene.
It's just kind of fun when they throw that stuff in there. And but then it comes back, you know, you kind of follow back up with him back at I don't know, like the police station doing some more investigating. Yeah. We learn here that, you know, he's doing some information on a Matthew Cordell, who we learned was a former officer that, you know, they don't really tell you everything that happened, but we learned that he for some reason was set up by politicians and, you know, was basically probably something like he was closing in on something that was like going on that was dirty with the police force or at City Hall or whatever, but they like unjustly imprisoned him in Sing Sing, which I looked up is it's a maximum security prison that's in I don't know if I'm pronouncing the city right, but Ossining, New York. So yeah, we learned that he was imprisoned there. We also learned that he was dating this woman who, after this happened, she threw herself out of a window to try and kill herself and crippled herself. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, puts more of the pieces together, which you already kind of knew, but still.
Yeah, which is kind of, yeah, if you think about it, it's like you pretty much just learned that, like, those characters are in this right before this, really. Anyway.
Like you didn't need those pieces put together, but they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then we get this scene that I'm talking about where that I mentioned that it's literally like a scene for scene replay in both sequels, but we see the maniac, he's kind of he's not sleeping, but he's laying down like in this old warehouse he has, and we have these flashbacks. There's like a shot of a judge like slamming the gavel.
Yeah.
We get like an overhead shot of the prison, him going in, getting walked through, and we notice like all of these prisoners are seeing him walking in. You know, you're led to believe that these are all people that he helped lock up. And then we get like a great sequence actually where he's in the shower. These group of inmates come in, he fights them off for a little bit, but they eventually get the upper hand. They stab him in the back and then brutally mutilate his face and slash him up. Yeah. It was gnarly actually. Heck yeah. Cause it's like after they stab him in the back, he kind of like, you know, slumps down and then they just start gashing him, like taking like slices at his face. And yeah, you see like most of them, you know, like, and yeah, it's, I don't know, it's an interesting sequence because, you know, I love the classic like maniacs like sleeping like like you know, and then you like, you have the dream sequence where all this kind of like, you know, shows you the backstory, but you just know that like something ominous is happening, particularly like when like all those like prisoners, like you mentioned, were just sort of like, you know, kind of giving him the stare down as he's getting walked through. Yeah. But the shower sequence was cool. Here's another wrestling reference. One, like while they're walking through, one of them even kind of like throws a toothpick at him, like Razor Ramon style. Yeah, the shower sequence is good. There's some good choreography in that fight sequence.
Dude, rest in peace to Razor Ramon, by the way.
Yeah, bro. Oh man, that was just like a quick thing where one day we learned he was on, you know, in critical condition. He had a couple heart attacks, and then the next day they took him off life support. And he's a legend. Like, it's sad.
Yeah. I remember I was trying to think, not to get too far into the weeds, but I had like an old Sega Genesis wrestling game that like he was one of the characters that was like, small roster of characters on those sometimes, but he was like Razor Ramon was on there. Always looked like a fucking badass,
Dude, he was far and away when I was growing up. Not only was I a fan of him as Razor Ramon, but even more so when he was in WCW and the NWO. Just as Scott Hall, like he's one of my all-time favorite characters, workers,
Yeah.
He's a legend. But yeah, so anyway, we go back and we see, so now Jack, who's still in jail, gets visited by Mallory and McCrae. They tell him about Cordell and that they plan to visit the chief medical examiner at Sing Sing. So McCrae goes to leave and leaves them alone for a little while. They start kissing, but then we follow up with McCrae, who goes back into the clerical room and starts looking through Sally's purse, but then he gets attacked.
Yeah, dude. It's like it, but not by, who you might think. He gets attacked by Sally herself. And she like wallops the dude. Like, she starts beating him with her cane and stuff like that, just like fucking jabbing him. And you see his like hand, like which was already wounded, start bleeding more and stuff. Like,
you can also tell that she's like unhinged because she's kind of rambling about how, he knows and how she's not good for him anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, she beats him down with the cane and she starts limping out of the room, but she doesn't make it very far before she looks up and notices that there's a police officer hanging from the ceiling.
Dude.
She screams, "He's here!"
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a great sequence, man, because like I honestly just didn't see like that happening. Like, and so she just like dude, like maniacs in the fucking building, and then instantly McCrae kind of turns and like or pops back up, and like then the two of them start like kind of moving down the hallway together, but Maniac busts out and takes Sally through the fucking window, dude. Whoa!
Through the window of a door. It's great.
It's fucking crazy. It just happens like so quick.
Beats her to death.
Yeah. And then at this point, like, Jack and fucking Mallory, are like, they're trying to get out of the fucking jail cell because they hear all this commotion, or the interrogation room, and like you see them, like the guard or whatever, like she approaches the guard and like he's fucking dead, and then the one dude's like, I don't know, somehow like strung up against the jail bars, like he was like, well above like normal height, so he was like lifted up there and strung up.
We see even more carnage later too. Like Maniac Cop just went through and just butchered everyone in this fucking police precinct. It's
pretty gnarly. And anyways, like this also leads to like a fucking obviously like an interaction between McCrae and Maniac Cop.
Because Jack tells Mallory to go down to McCrae's car and get ready for them because he's going to go look for him.
Yeah.
But
And then I can't remember the dingus's name, like, character name or whatever, but there's like that interaction where like some, I don't know, other officer or whatever is like trying to like pulls a gun on Jack, and is like
before that happens though, we have the fate of McCrae, because like you said, we go.
Oh yeah, well he's getting thrashed and stuff. You're right. Like,
yeah, then his death is great. I didn't think he was gonna die. Like,
no, it's Tom Atkins.
Yeah, you think he's gonna make it, but he gets killed about a good chunk through the movie. But long story short, he gets beaten up and then thrown through a window, and he plummets a couple stories onto a taxi cab to his death.
It's a cool shot.
It is. It's a great shot. And then, like you mentioned, Jack comes up, looks out the window, sees it, and then this other cop that we had seen earlier comes up, and obviously thinks that he's the one that did all this, and rightfully so, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, you're right. Like that whole like sequence with McCrae, like because it's cool because it starts, like in the file room or whatever, and he's just fucking Maniac is just thrashing him back and forth and stuff. Like he just doesn't stand a chance, man.
No.
And that's like a moment you're just like, you feel so fucking like, because like you said, like Atkins, you feel like you're following him to the end,
Totally.
And so it's just such a turn in the movie where it's like all of a sudden like dude's fucking out the window, literally. Like, and so yeah, it must be up to Bruce at this Bruce at this point.
Yeah, but, because like we said, the cop comes up and Jack ends up like, you know, he either it was he's gonna get arrested or he's gonna get out of here some way or another. So he knocks the cop out, grabs his gun, runs downstairs. There's two other cops that are coming in, and he at gunpoint basically tells them to get on the ground so he can leave, still proclaiming his innocence. And him and Mallory escape together. Yeah.
And like they like hop a train or something like that, you know, like, yeah, they do. They literally like they get on a train and they go up to Sing Sing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes, they do.
And that's when they learn a little bit more about, you know, how we say, about the Maniac's, you know, life or
right.
Post life.
Yeah, we sort of learn here that, you know, there's also like a short flashback where while he was after he was presumably killed in the shower, you know, during his autopsy, we learned that there was like faint signs of life, and that the medical examiner basically, you know, went against everything he should have done and released him to Sally, thinking that, you know, he even explains how when he did it that he thought that he was brain dead, and that, you know, he was just going to give her to Sally, and that he was going to end up dying anyway, essentially.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, because you're just like, I don't feel like he's necessarily at fault, because he thought that like the dude was fucking like toast, you know.
Totally. But still,
what a weird thing to do, though. Like, you're just like, right, yes, have the body. Anyway, so like once he's kind of like once that's discovered, he gets all irate, and he's just like, you know, kicks them out of his office and shit, you know, and that's when, oh, that's right, you get taken kind of back to the city.
Yeah,
where the St. Patty's Day parade is happening. Right. Yeah. And that's one of the fun facts about this movie, I remember, is that it's actual footage of a St. Patrick's Day parade.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. like so like that was like whatever year that was, like they filmed, that was like the year's parade, dude. It's like what a fucking thing.
Wow, what a random fucking thing to do for a movie. Like, I know. Oh my god, that's
so
great.
Fucking ridiculous. And yeah, so you get, you know, like some intermixed like shots of the parade and stuff come, you know, through here.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's just ridiculous. And then, you know, it kind of follows you. And well, I guess it's worth noting that this is like a parade that heavily features, like, you know, dressed to the nines like police officers. So you know, basically what Maniac's been wearing. So you know, they're like his, you know, it'd be a really hard day to pick him out of a fucking crowd.
Well, yeah. Unless you saw his face, but yeah, true.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, as soon as you see that fucking mug.
but yeah, we
then you pick up with the commissioner, I guess, right?
Yeah, because Jack waits outside, obviously, because he's a wanted man.
Yeah.
While Mallory goes in to speak with the commissioner and Ridley, and it's not really I think it's more explained like in the sequels or whatever, but you kind of learn that Commissioner Pike was him and the mayor were behind Cordell getting imprisoned.
Yeah, so there's like, I mean, there's definitely some shifty shit that led to him getting imprisoned.
Totally.
You know,
because she goes to tell them about Cordell. You know, obviously they don't want to hear it. You know, she even goes as far as to warn them that about, you know, what McCrae had overheard. But typical horror trope. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. You know, they basically explain, you know, we're going to have you booked and arrested. So they leave, and they leave like an officer with her who's supposed to be in charge of, you know, booking her. They go to leave, and
oh shit.
Sorry, I was getting a phone call.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
they walk through some double doors, and just from out of nowhere, pop up behind them is Maniac Cop, and just stabs him to death.
Dude, right? Like it's a cool sequence because, you know, like it's not like right in your face, but it's kind of there, you know? And so it's just sort of funny, like seeing them go through the doors and then boom. And next thing you know, like after like a few stabbing motions and some kerfuffle, you see the Maniac Cop come out with a bloody blade and like blood all over his hand and shit.
It's a cool shot.
It is. It's cool. And meanwhile, this fucking officer that's supposed to be watching, you know, fucking Mallory is just like trying to, I don't know, like he's just being so casual. Like, you know, he's just like sitting down there. They're just talking. And anyway, the next thing you know, Maniac Cop comes.
It's like, yeah, he handcuffs they're handcuffed together.
Oh, yeah, they get handcuffed together and they start walking. Yeah.
Yeah. Maniac Cop pops out again, stabs him in the stomach, and kind of like disappears again. So we get this scene where she like is dragging him. She makes it into another room. She sees Jack out the window. She ends up uncuffing herself, busts a window, and then Cordell breaks through the door.
Yeah, dude. Tears that fucking door apart.
Yeah. And they, you know, she makes it out the window as police see that. And then they also, a group of police see Jack. They run over and swarm him. You know, they put him in cuffs and they throw him in the back of a police van. Yeah. And she ends up making it down off the roof. You know, Cordell pops up into the van, drives off with Jack in the back seat, and Mallory hops into a cruiser with another police officer, and they follow. Yeah. And yeah, we get a standard, you know, chase scene where hijinks ensue. Yeah. Cars get smashed. One car even does the classic, like, hits something and flips over and lands on the top. No explosion, though. No. And like you mentioned, so Jack's in the back handcuffed. And that's another thing about this sequence I remember. Bruce Campbell stated something like, you know, like that was, you know, that's definitely him in the back of that truck getting thrashed around. There was no body double. And he was like that, like, I can't remember what the question was that, you know, the interviewer had asked that led to this, but he was basically alluding, he's like, I cannot do any sort of physical work like that these days, you know? But yeah, it's like, but apparently that's just him. Like there was no stunt double for him. Like he was just back there getting fucking hammered. Damn, really? Yeah. But you know, it's for, you know, a car chase sequence in this movie, like near the tail, you know, it's kind of cool. Like I think it's pretty dope that it's entertaining. Yeah, exactly. It's just a good entertainment, and I just love the you know, every now and then the visual of just the white gloved hands again, just like steering the wheel or something, you know. It's just fucking ridiculous. That's cool though that like he did his own stunt work, because I wonder how, like, if that was to happen in real life and you were just in the back like that, cuffed up, like that would, yeah, you'd just be bouncing around like a pinball. That would not be fun. No, man, I feel like you'd be lucky if you walked away with a fucking concussion or something. You know, like, I was just gonna say a concussion or a brain contusion or a broken nose, something. Yeah. Yeah. So they basically chase, do they go back to the Pier? Yeah, Pier 14. Pier 14. Yeah, they go back to the Pier, and you know, like there's like a shot of like Maniac. He's like grabs an axe. He starts trying to break down the door that Jack's, you know, of the truck that Jack's locked in. Clearly trying to get at him. Yeah, we see Mallory and the other police officer drive up. Mm-hmm. They hop out. He calls for backup. Jack ends up making it out of the back of the van. Mallory uncuffs him. The other cop like runs up, but Maniac Cop picked up the shotgun that Mallory had and just blasts the other cop. Yeah. And the cop just hilariously flies backwards like, ha ha!
dude gets toasted. Just he like it was like a kaboof.
Yeah, I just goes flying.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, like there's a great shot where Maniac picks Jack up by the fucking collar, and I think it's the first time you really see his full-on face in like the light. Yeah, and it's like he almost like, but it's funny because it's when Mallory like runs up and like he almost like hisses at her or something. He's like
because he can't. Yeah, he's not. Yeah. He doesn't speak, but yeah.
But anyway, so like Jack gets thrashed around by the fucking Maniac for a while, and then like Maniac starts trying to drive out of there.
Yeah, because we hear the sirens. We hear the sirens approaching, and he gets this look on his face and hops in the van like he wants to escape again and get away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in like an action movie sort of way.
This sequence is so good, dude. It's so fucking good.
Do you want to speak about it?
Oh yeah, let me tell. So Jack basically as Maniacs get out, Jack like hops on the fucking like side of the car, the driver's side, and he's like wrestling like with the fucking Maniac as he's driving out, and Maniac busts out of the fucking warehouse doors. They're heading towards wherever, and then like the Maniac just gets impaled by this gigantic, I don't know, rod of some sort.
Yeah, it's some sort of like hanging pipe, and it's the only time in the movie that it looks like on his face that he's exhibiting pain.
Yeah, he's like he makes this like and then the van just careens straight for the end of the dock, and in this great moment you see Bruce jump off the fucking van, and the van like just launches and just fucking sails into the water, man. It's just like,
I wonder if he did epic. That stunt. I wonder if I doubt that he did that stunt too, but whoever he did, like just the way the person like did like a flip off of the van as it's flying. I love that word, careens into the water. It's a great shot,
dude. You're right. Like that flip, it's just like, it's perhaps one of the funniest little moments like that you get.
Yeah, it's just so quick.
Like a whoop.
Yeah, and then we see like it's presumably later that day. They have a crane down there. They fish the van out of the water.
Yeah.
And they investigate it, and Cordell's not in there, and then we get like a classic horror movie ending where it pans down to the water, and you see this hand just like.
Oh, dude, it's so good. Oh my god, yeah, they're like just the hand on the pillar, and then it just like freeze frame stops on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. I love it, dude. Yeah. This movie was fucking like, it's a fun movie, man. Like,
yeah, and it goes by pretty quick too.
It really does. And there's just, I think it's really it's like you said, kind of actiony in the ending of it, but like it really kind of like, I don't know, it ends with energy too, and that's why I think it's fun, sort of fun. I can see like why, I don't know, I can see why they could continue to make like general movies in this series, but I definitely recommend watching this if you have just like an hour and a half to kill and you're just like you want to watch something that's kind of just entertaining.
It's a fun, entertaining movie with, like we said, you can't go wrong with Bruce Campbell and Tom Atkins. There's some great moments. There's some funny moments. There's some, it is more like an action heavy,
it's like an action
type of movie.
But I mean, it's cool action, like that, like legitimately, like that car chase at the end. That whole sequence is like, it's a fairly well done like car chase, and like that was indicative of the times, man. Like car chases used to be fucking huge in movies. Like,
it's true. That's what I'm saying. It's very true. They still are sometimes, but yeah.
But I definitely think this was a good pick, man.
It also, as we were, we discussed in one of the last episodes when we were going through the 80s how there's a Maniac Cop, and then the next year, someone made a movie called Psycho Cop, which is like the same premise. I want to seek that out and watch it and see like how
it deserves to be on here also.
if it's similar or different or what, or just hilarious. I think it's great in horror when similar things like that happen. Like I remember when Snakes on a Plane came out, there was like a straight to DVD movie called Snakes on a Train. Like when Ghost Ship came out, there was a straight to DVD movie called Ghost Boat. Like there's always like similar
Ghost Boat.
there's always like similar concepts like that. So
no, it's true. There's such a lackluster name. Ghost Boat.
Yeah.
Oh my fuck. Oh god. Yeah. I think it's like I said, I think it's funny that like this movie has like a couple of random like like the St. Patty's Day parade and shit in it, like just moments like that, like it just intermixed with some of the social commentary that still stands up, as well as the entertainment value. Like
totally,
why the fuck not? Check this shit.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hell yeah. How many? So you used this phrase a little while ago. The chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it. So, how many chef's kisses would you give this movie?
Oh wow. Honestly, I'd probably give it like 2.5. 2.5 chef kiss slow motion shots of a man putting a nightstick into his belt out of 5.
I would similarly, I would say, just for some of the laughs I get out of it, I would give it like 3 1/3 chef's kiss flips off of the front of a careening van out of 7.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fair. We good judgment this week from both of our parts.
Right.
All right, you fucking corn dogs. Well, thanks for listening as always. Make sure you keep along, because we're before you know it, we're gonna hit 50, and we got something in the works for 50. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But gosh, dude, like I'm just like I keep like I just gotta say it again. I keep looking forward to this every week. So I appreciate everybody listening. I appreciate you being here with me, Fitz. Like this is just fucking great, man. But on that note, I guess we'll leave this episode there. We'll have another movie for you next week, and before you know it, we'll have another one after that. But in between, watch horror, stay scary. You got any last words, my friend? I'm gonna go see a movie I've been looking forward to for a while now. I'm gonna go see X tonight, and I'm really fucking stoked. Dude, I can't wait to hear about it. Tell me about it next time we talk.
I will.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, good night.
All right.